Hello everyone, this is the Chubby Funster. Welcome to the third part of my deep analysis of Curse of Strahd. I'm going to walk through the first dungeon, the Death House, and analyze it using my Dungeon Design 101 principles. Of course, there will be spoilers. This is the Death House in the village of Barovia. Right out of the gate, they bring up milestone leveling. Remember, in their mind, they have to get you to level 3 so that your survival in the wilderness combats will be more guaranteed. I've read enough 5e stuff to know that level 1 and level 2 are almost a hindrance in the minds of the designers, which is sad, but I don't really have time to get into that. Just play old school RPGs instead. Seriously, just do that. This is the mathematical basis for 5e leveling. They like to give out XP in huge lumps. You have to start seeing those as carrots to control player behavior. If you don't do what the designers want, you don't get your experience. It's like teaching to the test in a school environment or only basing performance reviews on one piece of data in a corporate environment. People will hyper focus on what you reward and ignore what you don't. The classic old school method is to award XP in smaller bursts, like 15 awards for 20 XP each to get to level 2, instead of one award of 300 XP. Now, if you scatter these 15 things around, you encourage players to explore. If you only award them for talking to NPCs, you encourage conversations. You get more of whatever you reward. You can also prepare more than the amount of XP needed. And then if players don't find it all, that's on them. If they can find about 80%, they'll still reach level 3 and be ready to proceed. This graph is actually showing you 54 awards of 20 XP each. 54, you say? Isn't that interesting? If we pull a card every time they find something cool or defeat an enemy or do something that shows they're enmeshed in the setting, then when they have 15 cards, they reach level 2. And at 45 cards, they'll reach level 3.
So I figured it out.
There are easily 54 things here. Let's just use the methods I championed in Dungeon Design 101. You enter the death house here after a conversation on the street with two children that claim there's a monster in the house. Now there's 3 pieces of information you can learn from those children, so let's give out a card for each one that the PCs learn. And there are 18 monsters in this dungeon: ghouls, shadows, ghasts, and so on. And there's one spiked pit trap, so 19 dangerous things. They're highly clustered and really should be more evenly distributed. Even if you just distributed on the basement level better, it would improve things. There are a lot of interesting things in this dungeon as well. I've tagged 20 of them here as XP worthy. Secret doors, a dumbwaiter, stuff that was extra important. Every dungeon in Curse of Strahd is exponentially more interesting than the dungeons and modules like Phandelver, so I'm kind of being conservative here. You could tag a lot of rooms in this place as interesting to some degree. And there are 12 valuable things in this dungeon. Some are decent treasures, others are weird baubles. There's a harpsichord, a standing harp, and alabaster figurines in room 10 that are not given any GP value, but would be worth good money if you carried them out of the house. So I tagged stuff like that too. So that's 54 things, 1080 XP total, a bit more than you need to get to level 3, and the players will be incentivized to explore. So the basic premise of the Death House is that there are 2 children here that are ghosts. They're killed by their psychotic parents who helped conceal a cult in the basement. The first and second floors are clean and tidy, the work of illusion magic, but the third floor and the attic are dusty and old. And the PCs start to understand the situation more and more as they explore it. If they try burning the house down, it regenerates in 1d10 days. When they find the secret access down to the basement, they face some challenges and discover what was really going on. But in classic WotC faction, they bungle this. The house demands a living sacrifice, but there's no living creatures in the house, except for the shambling mound that attacks you after you fail to make a sacrifice. So unless the players sacrifice one of their own, or they're just dragging around prisoners all the time, there's no way to appease the house as written without leaving the house, which it won't let you do as written. So it's actually my recommendation to have a few soulless Barovians enter this house occasionally. Maybe they prepare a meal in the kitchen, eat in the dining room, smoke a cigar in the den, play on the harpsichord in the observatory. And then they leave. They don't explain their behavior, they never go to the third floor, and they stumble through conversations. They're soulless. And if you do this, the choice of whether or not to make a sacrifice will become much more real and important, which I'll speak on later. So the first floor seems normal and unremarkable, aside from some very interesting artwork and strange things carved into the wood. There's a trapdoor in the den that's hidden by illusion magic. I think this is a bad call. Let them find the trapdoor, but it's magically locked. That would give them a clue that there's something in the basement, and they're going to think about that. There's a dumbwaiter in the kitchen that connects to the second and third floors. Only small characters can use it. There are 4 paragraphs devoted to describing this dumbwaiter, and then they didn't use it for anything. There's no instruction to like ring the bell during a moment of quiet and people go, "Who rang the bell?" There's no ability to put something in the dumbwaiter and move it upstairs and that'll break the illusion on it, or some kind of protective element will be removed. There's no hidden passages that are accessible only by dumbwaiter. Nothing.
哎呀，这是真难搞啊！
The second floor has a secret door in the library that leads to a letter from Strahd and a chest containing 3 blank books, 3 spell scrolls, the deed to the house, and a signed will. The conservatory contains a nice harpsichord, a standing harp, and alabaster figurines, like I mentioned earlier. I think you should be able to get some GP value if you can get these things out of the house. I like treasures that are heavy and hard to move. It results in interesting player behavior as they try to figure out how to do it. The third floor starts out spicy with an animated armor that attacks anyone passing by. And there's a secret door in the same room that leads to the nursemaid suite and stairs going up to the attic. There's a lot of creepy stuff in this room. It's very atmospheric. I like it. There's quite a bit of treasure in the master suite and an animated broom in the storage room that will attack you if you come in that door. The slow build is good. Things keep getting creepier and creepier. You could even have the Barovians that I added downstairs yell up occasionally saying like, "You shouldn't be up there, it's dangerous." Use the techniques that they laid out earlier for how to describe everything. Building a rising tension is essential to this module. The attic contains a specter that's the remains of the nursemaid and a secret door leading to stairs that descend all the way down to the dungeon level. And the children's rooms contain the remains and ghosts of the children. They have a lot to say that will help the PCs, and they're not hostile unless you act like an idiot. They can also possess characters and make them unwilling to leave the death house. This is pretty cool stuff. If you're using my cards for XP technique, there were 3 chances with the children outside and 12 total in the above ground portions of the house. That's 15 cards, 20 XP each, 300 total, enough to reach level 3. See, you can be mathematical and not lame. The secret stairwell contains more dumb WotC shenanigans. The secret door literally doesn't exist until the players find Strahd's letter or the replica secret door in the girl's dollhouse. What? It's hard enough to get players to search for secret doors because the consistent answer is often, "There are no secret doors here." And then you're going to make it so that they can search for a secret door where there is a secret door, but they fail to find it because some narrative moment hasn't happened yet? That is a mind-bending level of stupid. Do not do that. As soon as you get down here, you start to hear ghostly chanting. Totally normal. No need to be alarmed. Don't worry about that. There's a swarm of insects here. I like the small encounters like this because it makes players more comfortable spreading out. If every encounter requires the full party, they're not going to spread out. You can also lay the children's souls to rest here if you place them in their crypts. That's great. It's evocative. It really connects the PCs to the world in a deep way. This is the kind of stuff that is really good about this dungeon. There's great elements. The cultist quarters contain a lot of treasures and a 30-foot well. I wonder if anyone takes a drink. I wonder if anything happens if they do. Those are questions WotC did not ask. There's also a secret pit trap here. Placement is good. I can see someone falling into this. This is a really good way of using a trap. Up until now, the pacing and spacing of these interactions is pretty good. Then they decided to cram a ton of stuff right at the end. There's a Grick in the larder, 4 ghouls that ambush you at a hallway intersection. There's a shrine to Strahd that's defended by 5 shadows. It contains a concealed door and a small treasure. The concealed door leads up to the underside of the trapdoor that's in the den on the first floor that I said, hey, you should just show them this from the beginning. If the PCs are going to decide to sacrifice a soulless Barovian from the house, this is a great way for them to slip up and grab one. The door to the cult leader's quarters is a mimic, and there are two ghasts here, once the parents of children in the attic, and some nice treasures, including a good spell book. That's way too much combat clustered all in one space. They had so much room, they could have spread things out. But when they create combat clusters like this, where you're running into 5 shadows instead of just one here and one there and a ghoul or whatever, the PCs are going to stay together as well. And you're definitely going to lose a lot of the horror vibe by doing that. You know, like in a horror movie where people spread out in the house and you're like, don't do that. That's what you want to happen, but it will never happen if every time they run into combat, it's huge ghoul cluster. They're going to have to fight it all together. This is just dumb. Descending to the reliquary allows them to actually make out what the ghosts are chanting. He is ancient. He is the land. And then there are a ton of treasures here, which WotC deems worthless. Worthless to who, buddy? These would be awesome things to trade with the Vistani. A 6-inch tall wooden figurine of a mummy, a folded cloak made out of stitched ghoul skin. I would totally let the PCs take this stuff and trade it with the Vistani to learn secrets. And then there's a prison with a secret door in it and a treasure. That's fine. And a portcullis that you have to lift up. Always fun. And that leads you to the ritual chamber, where they have to decide if they're going to be good or evil. And if they make a sacrifice to the cult, they can leave unhindered, and if not, the house turns against them and the shambling mound attacks. A big part of the module is supposed to be Strahd trying to tempt you into committing evil. This would be a great place to actually deploy him for the first time. Once they're in the chamber, the portcullis could slam down and Strahd could show up on the other side with a little monologue and say that if you're willing to just go upstairs and grab a Barovian and sacrifice them on the altar, he'll give them a small thing, something they want, something they need. It's a tough choice. Strahd knows that it's a soulless Barovian, so he's not giving up anything, and then he leaves. And so they have a choice. Kill the Barovian or not. You have to choose your own fate in this terrible place. Make a choice. What will you do? Instead, they have the house attack you. All the windows become bricked up. The walls are impervious to damage. You cannot stab the wall. It's that clear. The doors are replaced by scythe blades that snap on you. Every room with a fireplace fills up with smoke. Swarms of rats emerge if you start smashing down walls, and so on. Total railroad overkill. Lame. The house regenerates, right? So just set it on fire. Give them a certain number of rounds to escape, and then it collapses. They watch it burn to the ground, and then one of the Barovians walks by and laughs and says, "It will come back." And then the house begins rebuilding itself over the next 1d10 days, just like they already established. The evil endures forever until the sun is restored. Leave the house there as a reminder of evil's endurance in this place. This is a decent dungeon. It has cool ideas. It's just full of all these dumb WotCisms. The railroading, the inconsistent pacing, the blatant violations of player agency. Like the Death House, you have to just cleanse this whole module of the taint that's been left behind. It's possible, but it's frustrating. Side note, while jumping around the book making this video, I often landed on this final page of Appendix A. That Gothic Trinkets table is technically a D100 table, but the results are doubled up, so it's really a D50 table. If they just wrote 4 more entries, which I'm sure you can do, that would turn this into a Tarokka table. And you could have the players draw their own card and learn about their own wonderful little trinket. It blows my mind how easy it is to find uses for the deck. They just don't care about using it.
It is. It really is.
It really is.
Even when WotC designs something great, they wield it like a toddler with a sniper rifle. So that's what I think about the Death House. In part 4, I'm going to dive into the village of Barovia and what it's like to take the western road out of town and find the Vistani encampment. Stay tuned. Chubby Funster out.